Have you ever walked down a street in America and seen a luxury high-rise right next to a homeless encampment? Or scrolled through social media, seeing posts about billion-dollar tech companies, only to then read a GoFundMe for someone's life-saving medical treatment? This isn't a glitch in the system. This is the paradox of modern America, a land of incredible wealth where millions of people are struggling just to get by. How did we get here? How can the richest country in the history of the world have so many people living on the edge? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this complex issue. Let's start with a number that might surprise you. The United States has more billionaires than any other country on Earth. The stock market hits record highs, and technological innovation is booming. We see it everywhere: the sleek new gadgets, the sprawling mansions, the private jets. On paper, the country is thriving. But for a huge portion of the population, that reality feels a world away. For them, the daily reality isn't about stock portfolios. It's about the ever-increasing cost of just living. Take a trip to the grocery store. Have you noticed how your bill seems to creep up every single week, even when you're buying the same things? The price of eggs, milk, bread, and fresh produce has soared. For a family on a tight budget, this isn't just an inconvenience. It's a crisis. It means making tough choices. Do you buy fresh vegetables or the cheaper, less nutritious processed food that will stretch further? This is food insecurity, and it's happening in every single state, in rural towns and big cities alike. It's the hidden stress of calculating every dollar at the checkout line, hoping you have enough. It's the parent skipping a meal so their kids can eat. In a country that produces more than enough food to feed everyone, this shouldn't be happening. Now, let's talk about the big one: healthcare. In America, getting sick can be financially catastrophic. A single trip to the emergency room, an unexpected diagnosis, or necessary surgery can lead to tens, or even hundreds, of thousands of dollars in medical bills. We are one of the only developed nations where this is the norm. People ration insulin. They postpone critical doctor's visits. They avoid calling an ambulance because they're terrified of the bill that will follow. Think about that for a second. People are actively putting their health and their lives at risk, not because treatments aren't available, but because they can't afford them. This creates a cycle of chronic illness and debt that can be impossible to escape. The stress alone takes a massive toll on mental and physical well-being. So, what's the disconnect? A big part of the story is wages versus cost of living. For decades, while the productivity of the American worker has gone up and corporate profits have soared, wages for the average person have largely stagnated when you adjust for inflation. The minimum wage in many places hasn't kept up with the basic cost of housing, food, and transportation. Someone can be working 40, 50, or even 60 hours a week, maybe juggling 2 or 3 jobs, and still not be able to afford a decent apartment, reliable childcare, or save for an emergency. The old promise that if you just work hard, you'll get ahead feels more and more like a myth to millions. They are working incredibly hard, but they're running on a treadmill, unable to make any real progress. Housing is another key piece of this puzzle. In major cities and even smaller towns, the cost of renting or buying a home has skyrocketed. It's become disconnected from what local salaries can actually support. This forces people into long, expensive commutes or into unsafe, overcrowded living situations. The dream of home ownership, once a cornerstone of the American middle class, is now out of reach for an entire generation. When a huge chunk of your paycheck goes straight to your landlord, there's very little left for anything else: saving for retirement, investing in education, or even just enjoying a simple night out. This isn't just an economic issue, it's a social one. It delays family formation, increases stress, and limits opportunities for upward mobility. And it's crucial to understand that these struggles are not felt equally. Due to historical and systemic factors, communities of color are often disproportionately affected by these economic pressures. They face greater barriers to accessing good-paying jobs, quality education, affordable housing, and fair health care. So, while many are struggling, some groups are carrying a much heavier burden. Acknowledging this isn't about placing blame. It's about understanding the full, complex picture of inequality in America. To find real solutions, we have to be honest about where the problems are most severe. So, we have this situation where immense wealth is being generated at the top, but it's not trickling down in a way that lifts all boats. It's more like a geyser, shooting straight up. This isn't a natural phenomenon, it's the result of decades of policy choices, tax structures, and economic shifts. The decline of unions, the globalization of labor, and a focus on shareholder value above all else have all played a role. It has created a system where the rewards for economic growth are concentrated in fewer and fewer hands. This isn't about being anti-wealth or anti-success. It's about asking a fundamental question. What kind of society do we want to live in? Do we want a country where a person's ability to live a healthy, dignified life is dependent on their wealth? Or do we want a society where everyone has a fair shot, where a strong social safety net catches you when you fall, and where hard work actually leads to a secure life? The good news is, this isn't an unsolvable problem. Other developed countries have figured out how to provide universal health care, affordable education, and stronger worker protections while still having vibrant, innovative economies. Change begins with conversation, with understanding that the struggles of our neighbors are our struggles too. It's recognizing that a family's GoFundMe for medical bills is a symptom of a larger systemic issue. It's about supporting local businesses, advocating for fair wages, and demanding that our elected officials prioritize the well-being of all citizens, not just the wealthiest few. We can build a more equitable America, one where the country's incredible wealth translates into a better quality of life for everyone. The paradox of the rich country with poor people doesn't have to be our permanent reality. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredibly important topic. It's complex, but it's a conversation we need to have. If this video resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the issues that shape our world. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What part of this paradox do you see most in your community? Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.